Training series is ongoing how to work safely in the heat. In the part 1, we have discussed about the risk factors. What are the individual factors? What are the workplace factors? And what are the environmental factors? Those caused heat related illnesses. In this training session, we will talk about risk assessment and risk controls. And this is part 2. So let's get started. As I told you, we'll talk about risk assessment and control. So we'll take start with the risk assessment. Once you are going to prepare risk assessment for heat stress, you have to consider individual characteristics, nature of the work, environmental conditions under which work is to be carried out. After the assessment of the risk, managing the risk of heat stress should consider the hierarchy of controls, elimination, substitution, engineering, administration, personal protective clothing and equipment. And remember, control measures can be directed toward work environment, the task being carried out, and the individuals themselves. While considering the engineering controls, you must provide ventilation through fans, blowers, or chillers, air conditioning, insulation or shielding. How to make insulation or shielding? Maybe by providing tents or shaded rest areas. Once you are going to implement administrative controls in the process of safe working in the heat, you have to consider the training and education of the individuals, employment assessment and monitoring, setting patterns of work, acclimatization schedules, encouraging self-pacing of work, and maintenance of hydration throughout the work activity. As you know, training is very important for safe working, for safe operation, and for the safety of the project and the individuals. Once you are going to plan a training, you have to ensure workers are fully aware of the underlying mechanisms that allow heat strain to occur, recognize the symptoms of heat illness, understand and implement the correct responses to heat stress conditions, including emergency first aid. These are the minimum requirements for a training that is related to heat stress, heat stroke, or heat exhaustion. During the summer weather, you cannot ignore daily assessment and monitoring. Remember, medical surveillance may be required, determination of general fitness, presence of medical conditions, and use of medications that may predispose employee to heat strain. Persons at risk of heat stress can be monitored at workplace for signs of heat illness and to ensure work rest and hydration regimes are followed. Monitor may also include assessment of recovery heart rate times, oral temperatures, end of shift weight loss to determine level of dehydration. Very, very important points. Important in the sense because these all are about the safety of the workers, the individuals, those are engaged in different work activities at a project site in the hot weather. As I told you, in the summer, you have to carry out your work activities, but with different patterns. Number one, shift can be adjusted so that physical work occurs in cooler periods of the day, especially in the morning time. Number two, self pacing. Number three, regular breaks and work rest schedules. Number 4, provision of cool rest or recovery areas. And number 5, provision of relief workers. The safety, supervisory, and the project management. They have to consider there is a big difference in the hot and normal weather condition. So don't put pressure and workload on the individuals, because in this way they may lead to a potential workplace accident. And in any case, in any way, it is not in the benefit of the company, organization, and the individuals. In the control section, we will never forget acclimatization schedule. Dear friends and colleagues, unacclimatized 50% exposure on day one, increasing by 10% per day. For example, full work regime by 6 days. Let us understand how the US Department of Labor proposes the acclimatization schedules for hot workplaces. Day 1, 50% exposure. Day 2, 60% exposure, increase of 10%. Day 3, 70% exposure. Day 4, 80% exposure. Day 5, 90% exposure. And day 6, 100% exposure. Acclimatized, but returning to work after more than 9 days off, 80% exposure on day 1, 90% on day 2, and then full return to work. It's easy to understand, but don't send the individual who is coming back from the vacation for a month or 6 months. And once there is a big difference of the environments where the worker was and where he is going to work now, you have to consider these points and you have to implement these points in your workplace to keep the workers safe and to comply with the legal requirements. Those are about how to work safely in the heat. The last point is hydration. And this is very important point. Goal is to restrict fluid loss to less than 3%. Absorption rate through digestive tract about 1 liter per hour, can lose up 1.5 liter per hour. Encourage drinking cool fluids 250 ml every 15 minutes. Electrolyte replacement, especially non-acclimatized workers. And lastly, you have to avoid caffeine, alcohol, milk, carbonated drinks, and fruit juices. You will use water with electrolyte, and that is very much enough to maintain your hydration. This is the part 2 that was about the risk assessment and risk control measures. In the upcoming video, part 3 of how to work safely in the heat, I will make a sharp, quick overview that will cover all the presentation at one platform. That's all for now. Hope to see you soon with the part 3. Till then, good luck.